Why does the idea of a higher power persist so strongly in humanity's collective imagination? As people grow older, why do they seek more of divinity? Why does our mind believe that a higher power has designed the entire universe and has control over the life and destiny of people, and perhaps everything that goes on? Why do all spiritual traditions, despite their differences, acknowledge a supreme divine presence? Is it because, as of today, science cannot answer all the questions, or there is a deeper reason? Let us find answers to these questions today. Throughout history, human beings have pondered profound questions about their existence. From the earliest civilizations to modern times, people have sought to understand their role in the universe. The questions, why are we here, and what is our purpose, are not just philosophical curiosities. They are deeply embedded in human nature. But why do we feel compelled to ask these questions? Why does every culture, every religion, and every great thinker attempt to answer them? The answer might just lie in what makes us uniquely human: our consciousness. Unlike any other creature on this planet, we have this incredible gift of self-awareness. We can step back, look at ourselves, and wonder, why are we here? What does it all mean? It's almost like we're both the actors and the audience in this grand, mysterious play of existence. Plato, the Greek philosopher of the classical period, talked about the human soul. He believed that what sets us apart is our rational soul. This innate ability to seek truth, to ponder meaning, to strive for something beyond just survival. It's not just about eating, sleeping, or reproducing. It's about understanding, creating, and connecting with something greater. And perhaps this trait makes life so beautifully complex and endlessly intriguing. Maybe our relentless questioning isn't just a quirk. It's a reflection of who we are at the very core. It's the spark that drives us to explore, to dream, and to keep searching for answers. Now we can ask questions, but how do we find the answers? It is like standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted ocean, wondering what lies beyond it, what lies beneath it. For some, it's through science, peering through telescopes, studying the building blocks of life, and unraveling the mysteries of the universe. For others, it's through philosophy, sitting with the great thinkers of the past and present, wrestling with ideas that have shaped civilizations. And then, there are those who turn to spirituality or religion, finding comfort and insight in ancient wisdom and sacred texts. But here's the thing. Maybe the answers aren't always about arriving at some final, absolute truth. Maybe it's more about the journey itself. The act of questioning, exploring, and reflecting. Every step we take, every insight we gain, brings us a little closer to understanding, even if we never fully figure it all out. Over the period of time, science has progressed, and our understanding of the world has increased. Not many decades ago, we used to pray to rain gods to either avert failure of rains or to prevent excessive rains. Today, we predict weather patterns with pinpoint accuracy using satellites and climate models. Science has unlocked many mysteries of the natural world, so, while we've gotten really good at understanding the how of things, the why of human life remains unexplained. Sure, we can explain the mechanics of a typhoon or the physics of a rainbow, but what about the complexities of human emotions, relationships, and purpose? Why do we love the way we do? Why do we create art, or seek connection, or feel this deep? Sometimes etching need to find meaning in our lives. These questions don't fit neatly into a lab experiment or a data set. They're messy, deeply personal, and often defy easy answers. And that's where our scientific understanding reaches its limits. It can tell us how our brains work, but it can't fully explain why we dream, why we grieve, or why we're driven to ask those big questions in the first place. For most people, the answers to these questions lie in a higher power, or God. It is like having a compass in the middle of life's vast, uncharted territory. When science reaches its limits, when logic and data can't quite bridge the gap, faith steps in to offer explanations, comfort, and a sense of purpose. Think about it. Why do we feel love so deeply? Why do we experience beauty in a sunset or a piece of music? Why do we long for justice, even in a world that often feels unfair? For most of us, this is not just a peculiarity of human nature. This is a glimpse of something divine, something eternal. God has been a central figure in human consciousness for thousands of years, appearing in myths, scriptures, and personal experiences across civilizations. Whether as a creator, sustainer, or moral guide, the concept of God has shaped cultures, inspired great works, and provided meaning to human existence. The Sufi poets, Hindu sages, and Christian mystics all speak of a deep connection with the divine. And it's not just curiosity that drives us to ask these big, existential questions. It's also something deeper, something more primal. Think about it. As humans, we're not just curious creatures, we're also deeply emotional ones. And one of the most powerful emotions we grapple with is the fear of mortality and the unknown. It's like this shadow that follows us, this awareness that life is finite, that one day we won't be here anymore. Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, said, "To fear death, my friends, is only to think ourselves wise, without really being wise, for it is to think that we know what we do not know." In other words, fearing death is almost like pretending we have answers, when, in reality, we don't. And yet, that fear, that uncertainty, is what pushes us to search for meaning. And that's where the concept of God comes into human consciousness. Whether it's Buddhism's teachings on rebirth, or Christianity's promise of an afterlife, these traditions offer answers to the unanswerable. The promise of heaven, nirvana, or divine reunion with God, gives people comfort and purpose, reinforcing the presence of God in human imagination. They don't just address the fear of death, they transform it into something meaningful, something that can guide how we live our lives. The idea of God has always been deeply intertwined with morality. It's like the backbone of how societies have shaped what's right and wrong. Across cultures and centuries, religious teachings have been the foundation for ethical behavior, offering a kind of moral compass that guides how people treat one another. Whether it's the 10 Commandments in Christianity, the 5 precepts in Buddhism, or the concept of Dharma in Hinduism, these divine commandments and spiritual principles have emphasized values such as justice, compassion, honesty, and fairness. And it's not just about rules, it's about the bigger picture. The belief in an all-seeing, all-knowing God, a higher power who holds us accountable, has historically reinforced social order. It's like having an invisible judge who ensures that our actions have consequences, even when no one else is watching. This idea has been incredibly powerful in shaping human behavior, encouraging people to act with integrity, not just out of fear of punishment, but out of a sense of duty to something greater than themselves. Still, whether or not someone believes in God, it's hard to deny the profound role that the concept of a higher power has played in shaping the moral fabric of societies. It's not just about divine commandments. It's about the timeless human need to live in a world where fairness, compassion, and justice matter. And in that sense, the idea of God has been less about enforcing rules and more about inspiring us to be better, both for ourselves and for each other. Stories are the lifeblood of human culture. They're how we make sense of the world, pass down wisdom, and connect with one another across time and space. And when it comes to stories, few have been as powerful or enduring as those about gods and divine beings. From the epic tales of the Mahabharata in Hinduism to the parables of the Bible, from the rich oral traditions of indigenous cultures to the myths of ancient Greece, these narratives have shaped societies, inspired art, and given people a sense of shared identity and purpose. But why do these stories stick around for centuries, even millennia? It's because they do more than just entertain. They teach, they guide, and they unite. They offer answers to life's biggest questions. Why are we here? How should we live? What happens after we die? They provide moral lessons, like the importance of courage in the face of adversity, or the value of humility and compassion. And perhaps most importantly, they create a sense of belonging. When people gather around a shared story, whether it's around a campfire, in a temple, or in a place of worship, they're not just hearing a tale, they're participating in something larger than themselves. Take the Mahabharata, for example. It's not just a story about gods and heroes. It's a profound exploration of duty, morality, and the complexities of human nature. Or consider the biblical narratives, which have shaped the moral and cultural foundations of entire civilizations. Even indigenous oral traditions, passed down through generations, carry the wisdom of how to live in harmony with the earth, and also each other. The idea of God persists in these stories because it speaks to something universal in the human experience, a longing for meaning, connection, and transcendence. Stories about gods and divine beings remind us that we're part of a bigger picture, that our lives are intertwined with something greater than ourselves. And in a world that can often feel fragmented and disconnected, these stories have the power to bring us together, to inspire us, and to remind us of what it means to be human. There's something in us, something deep and almost instinctive, that yearns to go beyond the everyday, beyond the material world we can see and touch. It's like we're wired to seek something more, something greater than ourselves. Whether it's called enlightenment, salvation, divine union, or simply transcendence, this longing has been at the heart of spiritual traditions across the globe, and at the center of it all is the idea of God. Think about it. In every culture, there's this concept of a higher reality, a realm beyond the physical, something eternal and infinite. In Hinduism, it's the pursuit of moksha, liberation from the cycle of birth and death. In Christianity, it's the hope of eternal life in union with God. In Buddhism, it's the quest for nirvana, a state beyond suffering and desire. Even in modern times, people talk about moments of awe, wonder, or a connection that feels transcendent. Why does this desire for transcendence resonate so deeply? Maybe it's because, deep down, we sense that there's more to life than what we experience day to day. The material world, our jobs, our possessions, even our relationships, can feel fleeting, temporary. But the idea of God, or a higher power, represents something unchanging, something infinite. It's like an anchor in the chaos, a reminder that there's a deeper meaning to our existence. And this longing isn't just abstract, it shapes how we live. It drives people to meditate, to pray, to create art, to seek justice, to love deeply. It's what pushes us to ask the big questions and to strive for something beyond ourselves. In a way, the idea of God is the ultimate expression of this desire for transcendence. It's not just about believing in a higher power. It's about reaching for a state of being that connects us to the eternal, to the infinite, to the very essence of what it means to be alive. Whether through prayer, meditation, or simply moments of quiet reflection, this longing for transcendence is a reminder that we're more than just physical beings. We're seekers, dreamers, and believers, always reaching for something greater. So, even as the society advances, belief in God remains widespread. While science explains how the universe works, it does not answer why it exists. God, in all its forms, continues to thrive because it speaks to something fundamental in us. It's not just about filling in the blanks of our understanding. It's about fulfilling deep-seated human needs. We need meaning to make sense of our lives. We need morality to guide how we treat one another. We need transcendence to feel connected to something beyond the mundane. And we need a sense of connection to each other, to the cosmos, to something greater than ourselves. Hence, God has been a constant in human history, appearing in countless forms across every culture and era. It's not just an idea, it's a force that has inspired, comforted, and challenged humanity for millennia. The idea of God, whether as a psychological construct, a cultural force, or a true divine presence, meets the human needs in a way that nothing else can.